Today, I'm super excited to bring you an amazing person who has been all around the world, it sounds like, and the board when it comes to dog businesses. Her name is Rhonda Bilodeau, and she is a dog career coach. So, if you are looking for ideas of how you can pivot your business, maybe you want to start a dog business and you're not sure what direction to go to, today's episode is for you because Rhonda can help you figure out the right direction that's fit for you. Hi, I'm April Hampton, and I designed my home-based dog sitting and daycare business so that I earn well over 6 figures in sales annually. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dog Sitter's House podcast. Today, I'm super excited to bring you an amazing person who has been all around the world, it sounds like, and the board when it comes to dog businesses. Her name is Rhonda Bilodeau, and she is a dog career coach. So if you are looking for ideas of how you can pivot your business, maybe you want to start a dog business and you're not sure what direction to go to, today's episode is for you because Rhonda can help you figure out the right direction that's fit for you. Welcome, Rhonda. Thanks for visiting us. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
Yes, of course. Thanks for coming. So tell me a little bit first how you got here. Where did all this dog business stuff start?
Well, oh my gosh, I should really think about what year it was. I think it was like 2007. In
Okay.
2007, I was going to school and I didn't really know, I'm taking like the traditional path. I call it the matrix.
Yeah, yes.
Now, people, you get out, you go into school and you're just doing what you think you should do.
What
But
you're taught to
really,
do.
yes, but
Yes.
really, like, I think a lot of people have a really big desire to be with animals and to work with animals and to support people through working with animals. And I knew that that was a really big desire of mine to work with animals. At one point, I wanted to work with horses, but it was too much money. And then I thought I should choose dogs. I love dogs. And I was like working at like a gas station and a liquor store, going to the community college, and I just happened one day to see like Caesar Milan on Oprah.
Yeah.
And there was something about him where it was very like intuitive and it was very like I know like people throw this word around a lot, but like, the energy. It was just like his presence, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I was just like, wow, I really enjoyed him and how he was working with dogs. And that's like a whole nother story. My training is very, 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 very different to Caesar Milan's. I think I've got like big, I've got like these photos of me pack walking like 25 dogs off leash, and people just automatically like pigeonhole me into like training like him. And our training is very, very different. But I think for a lot of people, we saw that and we thought like, wow, he was one of the very first like big like trainers on TV. And for a lot of people, they started to realize like, wow, like this is actually something that you can do. So I was like, okay, I want to start like a doggy daycare, but I'm going to start with just like dog walking. And so I started dog walking, I started working with dogs, and I quickly learned I'm like, I know nothing. I also know what I like and what I don't like. I knew that I didn't like dog sitting, but I knew that I liked working with dogs and walking them. But what happened was the economy crashed. So this is now 2008. I've had my business for a whole year. I'm having fun. Like I'm like learning how to run a business. I'm 24 years old. And I all of a sudden stopped getting new clients because the economy crashed. And like literally everybody is like hiring now somebody that they don't know that lost their jobs to dog sit or maybe walk their dogs. Or a lot of people were just home now because they had lost their jobs. So it was like a very like concerning time because I was like, oh my God, I think I have to go use my associate's degree, which was like social services. But I had just gotten a dog. She's my best friend. She's the best dog. She was the best dog in the world, Gabby. And she helped me train every single dog coming into dog camp. And actually, what happened was I started to think about a service. Like, what if I offer a service that people just can't even say no to? It's not dog walking, like traditional dog walking, but it's like a service where it's like you're socializing dogs and you're training them in a pack off leash outside. I had never heard of anybody doing this though. I didn't even know if it was okay to have that many dogs off leash all at once. I didn't even know if I could do it. I didn't know like would they just like run away like all at once, you know? Because I had had dogs on leash and I was taking some dogs off leash, but it was all like mostly one-on-one or maybe two dogs from the same household. So I was like, well, I'm just going to try it. And so I had picked a place that was very quiet and I started bringing groups of dogs out. And then I started to make really good money. And I started to invest in like learning from other people. I started to invest in like dog training workshops, dog training. There actually were not, when I was 25 now, there weren't a lot of like, actually, I don't think there were any like online dog courses, right?
Probably
Like,
not. Yeah.
yeah, there,
Yeah, because it's
I mean,
only
I
been
was,
about 10 years since really the online space blew up for courses. Yeah.
yeah, when I was 25, I hardly even had a computer. I think I used my computer primarily for like writing up papers for school. So,
Yeah.
we didn't have cell phones, but there was like a conference, like a dog training conference that I went to, and I had learned about some of these trainers. So I started taking workshops and traveling around the world, going to all these different workshops. I even went to England and worked with a bunch of people who were doing pack walking. Pack walking's more popular there. They're with
Oh,
dogs on leash and off leash. So I went there and I just started to develop my own system that I now call the Mastering Pack Leadership System. And I just started helping other people start their own dog camps because my dog camp was so busy. So, dog camp is like an off leash doggy daycare without boundaries. And you're like hiking and you're training the dogs. They're going back home better behaved. I'm talking about really, really well behaved. Like my clients could just be like behind and the dogs would just pack walk behind them. Like
oh,
that's a really high quality service. So for people who are like really interested in getting into some sort of dog career, being able to offer such an incredible service where it's like you're doing all the training for the client and then the client is taking their dog on a hike and their dog is like the best behaved dog there. They recall them, they come back on a dime. You ask them to pack walk, they pack walk. You ask them to sit and stay, they sit and stay because they're practicing all of those skills at dog camp. So
nice.
my service just started like blowing up. I started helping other people and then realizing that like I really enjoy helping other people leave the matrix because you have your friends and your family and just people that you meet on the trail and they're just miserable doing
Yeah.
what they're doing. They're not happy, they're not fulfilled. And so I would just like help them start it. And I didn't see helping other people as like competition. I just really wanted other people to experience this. And I knew that it was also going to create like a really great like dog community. It's just like better behaved dogs. So now when I hike my dog on a trail, I know that it's going to be more likely when I run into people that these dogs, because of my friends that I helped start dog camps, it's like they were going to be better behaved. So I love like the kind of like mission too. Like the mission is really to get more dogs into a service where they're getting like proper training and they're getting proper socialization because I mean, if you've been around the dog world long enough, you do know that like a lot of like doggy daycares or like sending your dog to like a dog park, like bringing your dog to a dog park, it does start to create more anxiety in dogs or over arousal, hyperactivity. They start having bad experiences. And then all of a sudden the client has a dog on a trail and then the dog goes up and starts to create conflict or some sort of fight with another dog.
Right.
So it started with helping other people. And then when I met my partner, my boyfriend, he was techie. He was super techie. And I don't even know. It was like one of those things. I'm sure you have a story like this too, April, where you're just like, oh my God, I should get this online and like help people online.
Oh,
And you
yes.
don't know where it came from. It comes from collective consciousness, right? And
Right.
you're just like you grab it and then you're like, oh my God, let's do it. And so we created an online course. You know, looking back, I'm like, whoa, it was not the best. However, it just kept getting better the more people went through it because then they told me what they needed. And
Yes.
I'm a very easygoing person. You could probably tell me a concept and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it like 15 different ways and figure out how this works for me. But I realized with a lot of people, they wanted their handheld, they wanted everything broken down into tiny little baby steps. If you say go get an LLC, they want to know exactly the 15 steps to get an LLC. I was not like that. So like my first course was very like create an LLC, pack walk. Here are the 3 steps to pack walking. And now they're like so much detail, like hours of like, hey, this is how you do this like one thing.
Yes.
So, and then from there, we just got tons of different students in through the course. And then it was like a very like Vermonty thing. So I grew up in Vermont
Mhm.
and now I mean, there's probably like 25 dog camps, probably more. And it started to become like a really nice community. And we'd like, we'd send each other dogs and we'd help each other out. And then what I started to realize is a lot of those students would want to take on more challenging dogs, but they weren't appropriate for dog camp unless they had more training. So
Mhm.
then I'm a projector, by the way. I don't know if you know human design, but I'm
Yes.
like, if you invite me to do something, I will create it for you.
I
So
can see that.
what I was hearing from my students was like they wanted to learn more advanced skills. So
Mhm.
then I started creating what is now called the Enlightened Dog Trainer Academy. And a lot of those students are going through that course and learning how to do more advanced training so that they can prep dogs, they can prepare the dogs to then be able to go to dog camp. Because when you're kicking dogs out of your dog walking service, you're missing out on like thousands of dollars a year. And when
Okay.
you get an inquiry in, and the only like challenge that the dog has is it has like no recall, it's like, well, you could make more money putting that dog through a training program
Mhm.
and then get them to a place where they're going to be better than all the other dogs because you've done the training with them and then you can integrate them into your dog camp and so that's what all of our students were doing and then they were able to grow from like 15 to like 20 dogs at a time and we also show people how to find private land because I think that that's a really important thing like you shouldn't be walking like 20
Yeah.
dogs on a private trail someone's gonna see you and just have a heart attack.
So you mean you help them find private land they can purchase? Is that
No,
what you
so we
are?
we we teach them how to find land like around where they pick up or where their house is or
Oh,
just like a close by like lot or something. So they can either rent it from the landowner. We have a lot of farms. And
okay.
so you can go and you can like rent land, or you can just go and I mean, if they're dog lovers, they're like, oh, sure. So this is like a lot of farmers, or like sometimes it's people who live out of state and they just have some land and they just like allow people to use it. We've had people who are not very close to a lot of like land where there's like a lot of farmers who are more willing. And so I encourage them to use like Sniff Spot and they can like rent out like a fenced in area or some of them are not fenced in. So you can use services like that
Mhm.
or there are people who lease farms. So you can also like lease a farm and you can walk the dogs like on that farm lot. So there's a lot of different ways that you can find and use and pay like minimally for like a, an off-leash facility or
Yeah.
like they're primarily farms.
Okay, fascinating. I had no idea. And these
Yeah.
are all across America and like
Yeah.
and beyond, or would you say mostly in America, or is that all you deal
Yeah,
with?
we've had people doing this in Europe, like
Okay.
finding spots. Everyone's location is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Everyone has different like laws and rules and regulations. So I'm not
Right.
always like keen onto what everyone's are. Like in Colorado, you have to use crates,
Uh,
for all of your dogs. So that setup's going to be different. And then people who live in Florida, like they're struggling with the heat.
yeah.
So it's going to be harder for them. And in terms of land, some people are living more near the city. And
Yeah.
so they're probably going to be finding something like a sniff spot, like someone's like really big backyard that they can
Yeah.
that they can lease out, which is still just as fun.
Yeah.
Like some people are like hiking like deep, deep in the forest. There's pros and cons to all of this, right?
Yes, I'm
having
sure.
a having a fenced in like 1 acre lot is, of course, it can get a little bit more monotonous, but if you're hiking like deep in the forest, like you're running into porcupines, you're running into wildlife, sometimes coyotes and stuff like that. So
Bears.
there's
Yeah.
pros and cons to everything. But
Right.
now that I've moved to Costa Rica, I do realize that Vermont is, because if you're living in a state that freezes, like everything kind of freezes,
Yes.
it's a little easier, I feel like, to be hiking in the winter or to be hiking in a place where it's not, there's not so much bugs and animals because everything's so
Livelihood.
cold. Yeah, there's not so much like livelihood. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. Fascinating. Okay, so what would, if somebody wanted to start this off leash hiking in the woods with multiple dogs business, give me at least just the first couple of steps of how you get a dog. How would they even go about training a dog when they have, I mean, are they training them with five other dogs at the same time?
yeah,
Tell me
question.
what that looks like.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like doing your research and being proactive, right? Like we want to be smart. That's what like the course is so great, is like it helps you avoid all the mistakes that I made,
Yes,
right?
that's why
Like
we
you,
do what we do to help others avoid all of that, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So like I thought like, oh, here's a high energy dog, here's another high energy dog. Why don't we just put them together so that they like tire each other out? Worst decision ever. That was like one of my like, worst accidental dog bites.
Oh,
Like,
no.
yeah, like one was like a healer, or it wasn't a healer, it was like more of like a border collie mix. And then the other dog was just like neurotic, and the neurotic dog was running by the border collie and it just nipped him and just opened her right up.
Oh,
So you start to
no.
learn after a while, you're like, okay, like because then that was like very, very early on in my career. I was like, maybe I shouldn't add a bunch of I shouldn't have like a crazy high energy group and then like a mellow group. Like I need my mellow, stable dogs to help me train the more like higher arousal dogs, the dogs that just like they're not in like a thinking state, right?
Yeah,
They're like in their sympathetic state.
yeah.
So
More.
they're just like fight or flight, fight or flight. You get a lot
Yes.
of dogs out on the trail, they're in their sympathetic state. It's more of, but they're not in fight, they're in flight. So we think that they're like happy, happy and having fun and running around. It's like actually that's like a stress response, the
Yes.
flightiness, right? It's like when dogs jump on you. It's like
Right.
the flightiness of it all. So it's like we think it's happy, but it's actually a state of eustress. It's a state of stress, like happy stress. So it's important that people understand how to how to distinguish like when you're on the phone with a client or you're going to the client's home and you're meeting a dog for the first time. Can you spot the stress?
Hmm.
Because there's a certain amount of stress in a dog that they're not ever going to be able to flourish at camp or be able to do the training with you because they don't have the most important skill set, which is the skill set of learning how to emotionally regulate and down regulate. So if that dog doesn't have that skill, and they're more likely to run off, they're more likely to fight with other dogs. And so there's a whole like intake process. So some of the most important things that I tell people when they first go into an evaluation is just first see if they have a high social drive to want to interact with you. So if you go in, did they come up to you? What a concept, right? Does the
Right.
dog actually look like it likes you and it wants to interact with you? Because if the dog is hesitant about you, that dog is such a huge flight risk. You do not want to take that dog off leash. I mean, you're the one who is like, you're the pack leader, you're managing and you're supporting the dogs and you're helping the dogs. If that dog doesn't trust you and doesn't want to come up to you, like that's a huge red flag
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
So even though that dog may listen really well to the owner and it's very like quiet and subdued and sweet, it's like if that dog doesn't trust you, that dog shouldn't be off leash.
Yeah.
Because even though dog camp is super, super fun, it's like, it's a great service, right? It's
Yeah.
like dogs playing off leash and exploring and roaming. It's still stressful.
Right.
It's like if you go to you've been so excited about this like small event where there's going to be like like one of your favorite musicians playing. It's still a small event. And it's kind of like local. It's still stressful to go to this because it's called like social pressure, right? It's that
Yes.
social stress of being like I'm in a new place. I don't know what's going to happen. Who am I going to meet? I'm a little socially awkward. So that's what happens with the dogs. You can't avoid stress.
Right.
So when you go in and you start meeting the dogs, it's important that they just have a certain level of skills and that there are certain requirements that I suggest people make sure that the dogs have, or you're more likely to have fights, you're more likely to have dogs run off, you're more likely to just have total chaos at dog camp.
Yeah.
Another one is if you go in and the dog, like for example, like if you have food on you and you go to give a dog some food or you're asking the dog to like sit or lay down, are they able to do those things? We
Mhm.
call that like an operant state of mind. Like they can choose, they can make choices in their head because they're not in a stress state. So it's like the difference between being reactionary and just like reacting to the environment versus responding to the environment. When you have stable dogs who have had usually some level of training, they've learned like impulse control, they've learned how to work with people, they're confident through their training, they've had lots of experiences because they are trained and they go more places with their people. Well, if I come in and I'm asking a dog to sit and they're just wiggling and they're like jumping on me and they like can't sit for 2 seconds, it's not necessarily a huge red flag, but it shows me that like, wow, in this dog's home, this dog can hardly listen to me. Okay, so how long does it take for this dog to settle down? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it never?
You're right.
Never. I don't think that that dog is ever going to do well off leash at dog camp because we call it like a grade school model of learning. If that dog is in kindergarten still, but dog camp is like you gotta at least be operating at like junior high level to be successful, then it's like, okay, like this dog just needs some pre-training. And not everybody understands how to do that pre-training. So I've developed the course in a way where I just say, like, for right now, you can't take dogs like that until you've developed more skill. So we have a very strict requirement. And I say, if you follow these requirements, you follow the like plan where you only take certain types of dogs, you'll be successful out at camp as like a new pack leader because you're picking the right dogs. Because if you start picking the wrong dogs, it's too high above your skill set, right? Because most people coming into this, they've like, even people have like, I've had dogs my whole life. Yeah, but if you've never actually like paid for training and like gone through training and like worked with multiple dogs, that's what you're going to be learning through dog camp, through starting your own dog camp. And I think it's the best way to break out into dog training. I think it's the best way to start learning how to work with dogs because you're picking like easier dogs to work with. And so you're learning a lot. And
Mm.
think that it also helps to build up new students' confidence because you're not working with all the dogs that like just like can't listen. They need a lot of skill. Like you need a lot of skill to be able to make a bigger impact in that dog's life. So now you build up your pack because you're following the requirements that we teach in the course. And now you've got like 15 dogs and you feel like $1 million because you're like, look at me. I've trained all these dogs and they're doing so well and they're pack walking. And it's because you did all of that pre-qualification because you can be successful now with those dogs because you made sure that they had certain level of skill.
That's perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect. I love how you give them those precursors to figure out how to pick the right ones. I think also, what would you say that there's kind of a calling that we can kind of figure out when it comes to working with dogs and knowing if that's something that you are meant to do? Are there any signs that would, you might be able to pay attention to that or that you had that might relate to someone else that, oh yeah, I've had those signs also. Maybe that's what that means too, right? So like how did you know this is where you wanted to go? This is what you want. I just don't, not everyone figures that out. So what are some signs that could help you with that or
Well,
helped you?
I think for me, I was in such a different, I think for me, it was my dharma,
Yeah.
right? It was
Yeah.
like what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I think that for my students, because like a lot of my students in Vermont are now like my good friends. I think that for them, they had always had a passion for animals and they didn't know how to work with them until they learned of somebody who was doing something that was like different.
They
So
see
I
proof.
think, yes, it's like, yes, it's the proof. So
Yeah.
I think that's what's so cool about people starting online courses is that like the benefit of living in my state of Vermont was that a lot of people could work with me like one-on-one, but now I'm noticing now that the course is becoming more like worldwide, it's really cool to see people who are in other states or who are in other countries doing this really, really well. And I think that like it's all about just like having the courage to just try something different, right? Like if you're not happy in your career, if you're not happy with what you're doing and you're seeing, you go onto our website and you're like, look at all the success stories, it's like you got to find the motivation to finally like put yourself first. Because I think a lot of people do things because of what like their parents said or what society says.
Mhm.
And and I think a lot of people are also like either in their 30s or their 40s and they're kind of getting sick of living that way. They're like,
Yes.
I want to do something that makes me excited to like get up every day.
Yes.
And so I
Yeah.
think it's just like finding the self-love and the courage to just finally say like I got to take a chance. I got to
Yeah.
just take a chance and see if this is something that's going to work for me.
Yes. I
And
agree.
I think that you need like role models and you need to know that other people are doing this. Because I mean it's hilarious, but like one of my students, it's literally a testimonial on my website. Like one of the students, like her mom thought what I was offering was like a pyramid scheme. Like your parents, like a lot of people's parents, they don't even have this like concept in their mind that you could make a really good living doing this. And I know that you were saying earlier that this is like a um something that you encourage people to look into because you're like, I can help you make six figures without the burnout.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're essentially saying something very similar. Like you and I are speaking the same language. Essentially, what I'm saying is your burnout is living in the matrix. Like our
Yes.
students are working so much less. They're taking Fridays off. They're getting out at 2 p.m. every day. So you're working Monday through Thursday only, and
Right.
you're getting off at 2 p.m. and you're making more money than at your previous job. And
Nice.
I just don't think like people's parents, they don't understand that like you can do really well doing this and you can be a lot happier And maybe you're not getting like a 401k and all of these things, but there's so many different ways to go about saving money. There's so many different ways to like really see the investment in doing something that you're passionate about because a lot of jobs are soul sucking, right?
Yes.
A lot of
Yes.
jobs don't promote like being outside and working and being able to choose who you work with. I mean, that's a big
Right.
thing too. We can
That
say no to
is.
clients. We can just say like, ooh,
Yeah.
your dog and like maybe like the way that you interact with your dog and like your philosophy with your dog doesn't really like match like my philosophy. And I would recommend maybe seeing this other person. I mean, just the stress of taking certain people out of your life and like moving every day. And for people who are running dog camp, being outside every day, being able to ground, put your feet on the earth, touch the dogs who are touching the earth. You're getting all of that amazing energy from the earth. You're getting all the sunlight. I mean, so when people are like, what do I do about like health insurance? I'm like, this is your health insurance. Focusing on your passion and like being more connected with animals and nature, like that is your health insurance. And you can still find health insurance, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. Back in my life coaching days, it was people would do the same thing. They want to come to me for some health reasons, health coaching. And I say, yeah, I can help you because what we ended up doing with every single one of them is finding out that they were in a soul-sucking job, that they were miserable. And it
Yeah.
was this theme that just kept popping up over and over again. And all I did was help them uncover what it is that was in their heart, their purpose, their dharma, right? And I encourage them and help them take the baby steps to start cultivating that. And all of a sudden, everything else changed. They all of a sudden had the motivation to eat better or, change their lifestyle or get out and be more active because
Mhm.
they were happier. So it
Yeah.
makes all the difference. Absolutely. I agree. I remember when I was working in corporate, I left corporate because I literally said every day I felt like my soul was dying a little bit more, that I went to this job. So it's funny you say that. But I feel like you're right. A lot of people feel like that. And I remember saying to myself, why didn't I pick a career that I can stay active, be outdoors in nature, which I love? Why didn't anybody tell me about those things? Like, think about those things when you're choosing your career, right? No
Mhm.
one does that. But
Yeah.
it's getting better. It's getting better. I think people are really waking up to it, and it's wonderful to see, especially the younger generations. They're seeing the trap that their parents have gone through, and they don't want to go there too.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful that you're teaching people this stuff. Okay, so now tell me, uh, you're in Costa Rica, and so what happened after, how did you get from hiking off leash to Costa Rica? Or what did you do in between? What's going on?
Yeah, so my partner and I, Mateo, we ended up developing the Enlightened Dog Trainer Academy. So a lot of our My Dog Camp students go through that, and then they're able to train pre-trained dogs. So say for example, you have a successful off-leash dog hiking and training business and you get an inquiry in and the dog doesn't meet those requirements that we are talking about. Well, instead of losing out on literally thousands and thousands of dollars a year, you can actually make 20 to 30,000 more dollars a year by having some additional skill set, which is like professional dog training skills. So now you can train that dog to a higher skill level. You can teach them how to self-regulate, teach them better impulse control before you bring them into your dog camp. And then you make all the money off of the dog who's it's like recurring income because they're coming to your dog camp, right? So we were starting to teach people how to become professional dog trainers. And we had finished another online course called Safe School for Dogs. And it's all about essentially it's the mastering pack leadership system, but for working with dogs indoors. So people who are a little bit more concerned about having dogs off leash, or maybe they're a little bit more A-type. They want to just be like inside, have that safety and security. And they want to help dogs who are a little bit more challenging. Because I will say it's easier to have dogs indoors. Um, dogs who are like a little bit more challenging are going to be more successful. Not all of them, but some of them are going to be more successful inside because you're going to be able to watch them, right? And you're going to be able to manage things a lot better inside. And then there are less dogs are going to be more successful outside because there's just like too much like things that they could get into, right? Like they can build the momentum and run like a lot and then they start crashing into dogs or they're hunting things or they're chasing things and not listening. So you can actually take more dogs, more challenging dogs indoors and be successful with those dogs. So a lot of the students were going through EDTA and then we created the safe school to teach them how to do it all indoors. And I would say like price point would be like our students for my dog camp were charging $35 to $40. So they are charging $35 to $40 a day. And some of them are walking 20 dogs. And I would say the majority of them get to like 12 dogs because you have a maximum to how many you can put in a car. So the ones who are walking 20 dogs have like very large vans and not all of their dogs are large. They have a lot of like medium-sized dogs. Um, and with Safe School, because you're taking dogs that are often like kicked out of doggy daycare and you're going through very specialized training and I call it like you're using the power of the pack your all your stable dogs that know how to regulate and they're very like they're social, right? Because that's the whole point is like trying to get a dog to be like social, but like most dogs that you work with are going to be a little bit more like socially selective, right? So you have enough dogs that you see which ones like work well together. But you want to be able to use your dogs to be able to train the new dogs coming in. So that requires a really bomb, really great like service. And it requires you to have a little bit more skill set, but you're able to charge more because of it, because it's like a really great service. So those students have about like 10 to like 12 dogs at their facility. Usually you're using your basement or you're using your backyard, or you're using like a room in your house. And then either people drop them off to you, or if you live more in a residential place, you pick the dogs up, drive your car right into the, the what's it called, the garage, and then put them in your house, and those students are charging $70 per dog.
Yeah.
So we had all these online courses, and a dream of Mateo and I was to just travel the world more. And so our online courses have allowed us to live in other places. So we've been moving around a little bit in Costa Rica, and now we're in the southern zone, and we're really happy here. But recently, my sister and I we just went to Washington D.C. and we got our Hungarian citizenship.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're like, oh, where else could we go? So that's why I have a dog camp. Like I'm very free
Uh,
spirited. My boyfriend's that way. And yeah, it's nice to be able to have a career that allows you to also just be able to do other things that you're passionate about. And
Yeah.
that's another reason why I really enjoy having these dog careers because, our dog camp students are getting out at 2. Like safe school, you can get out a little earlier too,
Yeah.
depending on how you run your safe school. Or if you're a professional dog trainer, you pick and choose how often you want to work. And then you have more time to do the things that you're passionate about. I recently was teaching an in-person training for professional dog trainers. It was like a professional dog training development workshop. And I worked 9 to 5 and I went back to the US to do this. And I was like, I don't know how people do this. I don't know how people are working 9 to 5. It's like I didn't have time. By the time I got home and I ate and I was able to like unwind, it was time to go to sleep.
Right.
It's just like I don't understand how people are like living like this.
Right. I don't know how I did it majority of my life. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I love that because that's what I teach as well as really start with you. Start with the lifestyle you want to lead. Start with the hours that you want to work, the days that you want to work, and build your business around your values, around your vision. And that could be different for everybody, right? For me, I do daycare Tuesday through Thursday. So I do boarding. Otherwise, you might hear some of them in the background, but they aren't that many. Like I can cut back because I have my daycare where I have the majority here Tuesday through Thursday. And then I can cut back Friday through Monday on boarding, have less dogs. And you know how it is. Once you've done this for a while, have him even 3 to 5, sometimes 6 dogs, depending on the dogs at once, you can, I mean, that's like a day off. You still have
Mm.
to feed them, you still have to walk them and engage with them, but it's especially if they're here for boarding during the daycare days, they need a day off just as much as I do, right? They're tired. They need to
Yeah.
catch up on their sleep because they're not sleeping as much in a pack setting, are they? So it's nice because a lot of times, depending on, I can control. Do I want Friday through Monday pretty much off, or do I want more dogs here and to earn? Oh, I need to pay for some home maintenance for something that's expensive. Okay, I'll take a few more dogs a couple of weekends this month. It's really
Yeah.
nice to be able to have the control on the lever there where you can
Yeah.
push forward or pull back so that you can kind of have the lifestyle that you want, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that you set it up that way for people too, because it's so important. Because otherwise, what are you going to do? You're going to do what I did in the beginning, which is just say yes and just work all the time because oh my gosh, if I'm not open every day of the week, then I won't be in business. You freak out and you make these decisions from fear, and next thing you know, you're working 24/7 and you're burned out, and like you said, you're back in the matrix. It might be your own business, but it's your own matrix that you created for yourself at that point, right? So
Mhm.
so that's wonderful. Great. Now, what do you do to get your dog fixed while you're traveling the world?
Well, I have my own two
Do
dogs.
you? Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
They're
I'm
mess
like,
they're
here's,
hiding.
yeah,
Oh,
there's,
there they
they,
are.
I think Milo's just like on the other side of the bed over there, but he's a golden doodle, and then Ziva's our German Shepherd.
Nice.
So
Good.
there's dogs, man. Everywhere you travel, there's dogs,
Yeah.
Like that's the wild thing about Costa Rica is there'll just be like dogs. They're like cars. They're just walking on the side of the road. You're just like,
Yeah.
it's stressful here,
Is
just seeing
it?
all the dogs and how they live sometimes.
Yeah. Do you want to
But
take them all home and
no,
save them? No,
but
I would.
my boy, this is why I have a boyfriend who has kept me very sane and grounded because I'm
That's
always like,
good.
"I want a dog," and he's just like, no. And I'm like, okay, good idea. No, 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 we shouldn't take this dog. I would have like 15 dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see people who they have boyfriends that are like them, and then they have 15 dogs.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, thank
He's your
God I
voice
don't.
of reason. That's
Is
wonderful.
my voice of reason,
Okay.
100%.
So tell me how, if somebody's just thinking about getting into this business or some sort of dog or pet business, there's so many options, right? They could get a facility and do daycare and boarding, or they could have like a smaller kennel somewhere out in the country, maybe. Or if they're in the city, how do they even get started there? They might want to do dog walking. They might, they could do dog training. There's so many options. Do you have any tips for people who are just wanting to get started, or maybe they're doing something already, but they don't feel like that's quite a fit for them? How do they figure out what direction to go?
It's a good question. I think it's definitely like your values. So I'm a professional like certified life coach as well. So I know you and I, April, we speak the same language,
We must,
We're
yeah,
like, what are your values? So I think for some people, like depending on what they value in life, right? And I think also some people just like they don't want to use their home for like dogs coming in and out, or maybe they don't want to use their car. Maybe they're a little bit more of like a clean freak. Then it may be good for you if you know that you value a little bit more of that, like keeping your life separate from your business.
yeah, your
And
personal space.
yes, then it may be good for you to really look into if finding some leased land or finding a farmer where you can go and you can like hike dogs on their property. And I think that depending on if you want to do it on leash or off leash, like going away from your house and doing stuff away from your house could be
Yeah,
like a really great start for you.
yeah,
Um, It's a
Or
little
training
harder.
in people's homes, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we teach people how to do like take and trains too. So you could do professional training, like one-on-one private lessons. And then if you also value working with the dog more than the human, because a lot of our courses are focused on working with the dog,
Okay.
because a lot of people come in, this is, and I know that you know this, but it's like, I love dogs. I want to be a professional dog trainer. And you're like, well, sorry to break the news to you, but it's really training people, right?
Right.
So we also teach people in our Enlightened Dog Trainer Academy how to provide something called take and trains, where you're going to the client's house and you're taking the dog and you're training them on a dog walk, and you're offering that service like multiple times a week or a couple times a week.
Mhm.
And the goal would be to then maybe get them into some other sort of service like a dog camp or a day school or whatever service that they want to get into. And you're kind of like preparing the dog for that lifestyle. And maybe the lifestyle is just so that the client can take their dog hiking up a mountain or something like that. Um, but that's all away from your property. That's all away from your house. That's all like, not all of them are like dog camp. You have to put dogs in your car. That's like, you're basically dedicating a car.
Yes, absolutely.
A dog, you're basically creating a dog car. Like it's a dedicated dog car, right? But
Yeah.
um with uh with like private lessons though, like you don't have to do that. You can just like work around the client's home. So I think that's like the very first step is just deciding like, do you want to work out of your home, or are you really like adamant about like keeping everything separate? And then if you are open to doing stuff like out of your home, then looking into like opening up a dog sitting business, or opening up like a day school, or doing board and trains out of your house.
Mhm.
And I think that's for me, like that, those are some of like the biggest things that stick out to me is just like finding like the location that will just like help you be your best self. Because I think there are certain people, it would just be too overwhelming to have dogs in their home. And then it's also like, how do you like to interact with dogs? Do you like to do a lot of training? All of this requires some level of training. Okay, unless you want to have a pack of dogs that are like psychotic, either outside or inside. But all of this requires some level of training. If you're going to
Abs-
have a premium service where you can charge a premium price, which is, I think, the best thing to do for your sanity too, right?
Yes.
It's not just so that you can actually make a really great living, it's for your sanity and for like long-term I think about even just like with like AI, like everyone's like concerned, like the millennials. I guess I'm a millennial too, but like the generation after millennials, what are they, Gen Zs or something?
I think so. Yes.
Gen
Or
Z,
yeah,
like
Gen Z.
everyone's like concerned about like like, well, what are the robots going to take over?
Right.
I'm sure eventually like a robot will be able to train a dog, but I think that's a very hard service. You know what I mean? I don't think
Yes.
that they're going to be taking that over anytime soon. So
See,
it's like,
finish that thought, and then I'm going to tell you what I think
now
about
I'm
that.
curious to know what you have to say.
I was going to say, I don't think I can't see it. Like maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, I can't see it either, but I've brought this up with a couple of people and they're like, I don't know. They're gonna be like really advanced. And I'm like, I bet it's gonna take a lot of time. Because like
Well,
there's
there's
so
one
much
thing to say.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah, go on. Yeah, go ahead. You're going to say I think you're going to some points I had. Go ahead.
There's there's so much in terms of like energetics. Like you may
Yes.
not be, yes, you may not be able to just look at a dog like just with your eyes and figure out what's going on, but it's like a lot of people who get into dogs, they're like, or they want to work with dogs, they're huge empaths.
Yes.
Like they can feel all of these dogs. Like you bring me out with a bunch of dogs, I can just like feel all of the anxiety from certain dogs. And it's like it motivates me to be like, we need to help that dog because I can't do this. I can't be walking 2 hours and seeing and feeling this dog be really anxious.
Right. And the
So
whole pack, and then the whole pack feels it, right?
yeah,
And it makes your job harder because everyone's anxious energy just goes up a couple of notches and get a little
yeah,
bit more excited, a little bit less, harder to hear you, whatever the case may be, right?
Yes. I
Yeah.
think yeah, I think that would be a very hard thing to train. So we got job security.
Yes, I think so.
Working with dogs, you're
Right,
outside, you're doing what you
right.
love, you're making your own schedule. It's like, and you got job security.
You're charging your own price.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And now
Yeah.
when it comes to the price thing, I feel like one of my pet peeves, pun not intended, is when you get on these doggy daycare sitting Facebook groups, whatever, you see a lot of people, curious about pricing. Like, what do you charge? Or do you guys think this is too much or whatever? What is your approach on the best way to set your pricing?
Yeah, my girlfriend has a great analogy for this
Okay.
that she talks about. I don't forget. It's from one of our business coaches, but someone was like, you can be like the what is it? It's like you can be the Walmart of
Uh,
like dog sitters or dog walkers or doggy daycares or of dog trainers, or you can be like a premier service. So I think that a lot of people they charge like a really low price and people are just going to automatically assume you provide like a cookie cutter, not such a great service. And then there when you have a really high level of skill, because that's what we're all aspiring to. You want to be able to get to a high level of skill where your pack is making you look great. Like you're pack walking, you got 20 dogs behind you, they're all listening and they're going home better behaved. And then people are like what you were saying, April, earlier, like people don't want to move out of your service zone. They're like, how am I going to find another April? Like, that's what we want from our clients. How am I going to find another Rhonda? I can't move to another state and find another Rhonda. Like they want you, they like you, and you can charge a premium service for that. Like my clients, I mean, they were so invested in me and they knew that their dogs loved me and I was able to like connect with their dog and be able to train them to a high level of a degree. And it's like they're going to they're going to pay a premium price for that. I forgot what your question was, but hopefully I answered that.
Yeah, no, you were right around it. Absolutely. That's exactly what I say too. But you'll see people, I say, you don't want to ask. We have a mentor, a coach that has enlightened me on this philosophy, and I love it. Asking what people are willing to pay is the wrong question, right? And it's the same thing for a dog business. Asking how much you think people are willing to pay is the wrong question to be asking. You have to be asking, what value am I bringing? Am I bringing more value than what I'm charging? Okay. Am I making it a no brainer? Am I making it irresistible for these people? Like, this place is so amazing. It's like doggy Disneyland. I have to send them there. I don't care how much it costs. We're going to cut back on our Starbucks. We're going to eat out less often. And our dog gets to go to doggy Disneyland a couple times a month, whatever, right? So, I mean, when you do that and then you find those people who feel that way about their dogs, where they'll do anything to give their dogs the best life they can possibly live, then you have a perfect match. Do you have any tips, speaking of, on
Yes. Oh,
finding those people, those dog owners?
yes.
Okay.
Gosh, I love this question so much because it's as much as I love helping people understand how to train dogs, I love talking about business. I mean, that's probably why I'm a dog career coach. Like, it's business, learning how to run a business is so important to the success of your business, right? And, like, you got to learn all these like little tips and tricks. So, people will come to me and they're like, I've had a dog business for 3 years and, they've joined like safe school or dog camp. And it's like, okay, well, let me take a look at your website. And it's like, nowhere on the website does it really talk about the value of what they're actually offering. It just looks like Joe Schmo's kid down the street walking dogs for a living. It's
Yep.
like, oh, you do so much more than this. Like it needs to be expressed on your website or your social media or over the phone or in person your value, because there's a perceived value and then there's a value that you can express when you are face to face or over social media with a client. And I think people struggle with that. They struggle being able to communicate to their ideal client what their value is. And when you communicate that value, you're either going to repel or attract like your ideal client. And it's great. Repel some of these people that don't care about a high quality service where their dog's going to come back like better behaved and have really high quality friendships, because that's another thing. Like you get dogs in, they're just obnoxious and they make no friends. But
Yeah.
clients can't see that. So you have to be able to communicate to a client that like, hey, I know that your dog is very like, let's say it's like a Bernese Mountain Dog. I see like hey, I've been noticing just or it let's pretend like this is like a private like an evaluation with a client, okay? And they're like,
Okay.
I'd love to bring my Bernese Mountain to your dog camp. And I'm like, or day school. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me a little bit about their history with like how they play with dogs. And I can already tell this dog looks like it's so obnoxious and it probably doesn't have very many dog friends. They're just like throwing their weight around, pawing dogs in the face and not listening to like any social cues. And a client's not going to necessarily see that as like such a big issue, but then you can express like, hey, I've been working with a lot of dogs before, and this is what I've seen in my service is that these dogs really struggle to make friends. Like, do you notice that with your dog? And they're like, yeah, I've noticed like, sometimes like other people's dogs at the dog park or when I meet other people's dogs, they don't seem to really like my dog that much. And even that may be a hard thing for a client to see, but then you can help them. There's so much education with clients, right? You
Yeah.
have to help them see your value, and your value is like, I can see that your dog probably really struggles with making friends, and it's not high quality friendships where they feel safe, or there's like a level of like respect between the dogs so that they can develop a deeper friendship, and or that they can have more friends, because maybe this dog has another loco friend that it plays with, but maybe they only have one friend that's as loco as him that can tolerate him. So then you're talking about like, imagine if your dog had tons of different friends. That's what I'm going to be teaching them at in a private lesson or at day school or at dog camp, so that they can learn how to develop multiple friendships. Because what if that dog's loco friend dies? You know what I mean? And like this dog has no friends now. So it's being able to communicate on a website or social media, like your value. The clients they don't know that they need this stuff. They just think my dog has one dog friend. Sometimes it plays with another dog for 5 seconds on a trail, but they don't understand the deficit in that dog's life. Like their social life is not nearly as rich as it could be because the dog doesn't have social skills and it doesn't have emotional regulation skills. And that's what you're going to be teaching them at whatever service that you're offering. So that needs to be communicated on your website and on your social media, but for all different types of dogs. This is what happens when your dog is very fearful of other dogs. This is what happens when your dog is really pushy with other dogs. This is where your dog is, and this is where it can get your dog. And these are the benefits, right? This is
Yes.
how it's going to improve your dog's relationship with you, how it's going to improve your dog's experience with other dogs, how it's going to improve their friendships and stuff like that. But no, we go onto people's websites and they're just like, I pick your dog up, I charge this much, and then you pick your dog up at this time or whatever. And so it's easy to pass on somebody when they are unable to really express the value.
Yes, absolutely. And all they do is look at the price then because they're just comparing you to another
And you're
basic dog
always going to have
sitter.
price shoppers, and that's okay. Those are not your clients.
Exactly,
You know?
exactly. Very good. I love it. Well, this has been very enlightening because it's a whole different field being a dog career coach. You don't hear that often. I don't know if I've ever heard it, as a matter of
I don't
fact.
think I've ever either.
So it's great. You're blazing the trail once again, Rhonda.
Thank
You
you.
are a trailblazer. I love it. And what's great is what you're doing is how and I kind of see what I'm doing. We're on the same lines in
Yes.
this respect where we're helping other people build amazing businesses to help more dogs and their owners,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because for me, it's like this mission of, I don't want to see all these dogs going to a traditional facility for daycare. Like I used to take my dog a few dogs back, and then like you said, he came out of that all of a sudden starting to have issues where he never had those issues before, and so I removed him from it. And I'm that's in my heart, and I can tell it's in your heart that by teaching more people you're helping more dogs. So
Yes.
that's a beautiful journey. Thank you so much for showing up. And where can people reach you if they want to reach out to you?
So the best place to reach me is my website.
Okay,
It's
what's that?
rhondabillidu.com.
Okay, your name,
So
and we'll
yeah,
put
it's my
that
first
in
and
the
last.
description. Say that again.
rhondabillidu.com.
Okay. And then also, I think you have a treat for our people. Uh,
Yeah, it is a free PDF. It's called Five Unique Careers with Dogs. So it goes into just like five really fun and exciting, unique careers that you probably have never heard of. And we just break them all down with how much you would make, what it would take, job description, like the realities of these different dog careers.
okay, great. And we'll put that in the description. So if people want to get that, you can click on it and get her free PDF with the 5 unique dog careers. I love it, or careers with dogs. And do you have any social media that people can follow you on?
Yes, it is.
Dog careers with
I think it's
Rhonda. Was that what you told me?
yes.
Okay.
Dog,
It's
and
hard to
then
keep it all memorized, isn't
and I'm
it?
like, oh yeah, dog careers with Rhonda.
Okay, dog careers with Rhonda. Very good. Thank you so much for coming here and spending your time and sharing all of your wonderful gifts and experiences, knowledge around dog careers, Rhonda. We
Thank
hope
you
to
so
have you
much,
back
April.
again sometime. All right, take care.
Thank you. Appreciate it.